right, everybody, welcome aboard here to the Sports Talk Nation. Michael Cohen here with you, and we are back here on the Sports Talk Nation. Boy, I gotta admit, I was impressed with what I saw last night, what I heard yesterday from Steve Cohen during his introductory press conference that took place Tuesday afternoon. Got a chance to really sit down and watch it late last night, and you can't come away with this without thinking that the good times could be coming very soon for the New York Mets. It was really, I think, the best way to describe in a nutshell of what we heard from Steve Cohen yesterday and Sandy Alderson as well. It was kind of like if somebody took Bill Gates and threw him into a blender with Bill Parcells and Rex Ryan and just kind of mixed it all together. And that's what you got out of Steve Cohen. You get somebody who comes out, looks very buttoned down, sitting there with his hands folded under his chin most of the time, with the sweater vest on. But then the things that he said, talking about building a winner, talking about wanting to win the World Series within 3 to 5 years, and if that didn't happen, he would be slightly disappointed. Wanting to be a player in free agency. All the things that a lot of fans, a lot of media people had speculated would be a paramount in a Cohen-run baseball team. He's right into it. He is all in. And you gotta like the fact that Sandy Alderson and even Cohen were talking about doing, well, the old Bill Parcells refrain, shopping for the groceries for that matter, as the Mets want to go out there and, like I said, be a big-time player in free agency. I mean, one of the striking things to me that he said right away was, I want to exceed expectations. I want to have an exceptional team. I want to be great every year. That is something we have not heard from the Wilpons, or really many owners for that matter, at least recently anyway, here in the New York Tri-State area. Usually very buttoned down, usually very reserved, usually playing your cards close to the vest. Not the case anymore. Our Mets are clearly going for it. Our fans matter a lot to me. We will hire great baseball people. We want great players, and we also want to make them better. We're going to start with homegrown talent and fill in from there. So that's a very big quote right there from Cohen, telling you that, yes, the Mets are going to be players from free agency. He even mentioned later on saying that they are going to spend it up, but they're not going to spend like drunken sailors. He used that exact term. But they also want to build from within. He talked about improving the minor league system, which certainly could use some improvement, for that matter, after the last couple of years on a Brody Van Wagenen. And he even talked about going out there and improving starting pitching. And yes, we all know the Mets could use some starting pitching, and there was a couple of starters out there in the market, potentially, who could be free agents as well, free agent acquisitions as well. So, man, it was really, I guess the best way I could say it is it was almost like a sense of relief in a lot of ways, because, as I mentioned, we haven't heard this from an owner, we haven't heard this from anybody associated with the Mets in years. Nobody comes here and talks about the World Series. Nobody comes here and talks about saying playoffs aren't enough. No one has done that. This is a team that hung banners for clinching a wild card under the Wilpons' watch. Not the case anymore. And Cohen even said that the team could bring in an old timers day, long overdue as far as I'm concerned. And yes, that Tom Seaver statue is going to be up by opening day. And that's something that fans are certainly going to be happy to hear about as well. So, basically, what the Mets fans have here is they have a super fan who has big pockets running this team. And it feels like, even though this is a guy who, yes, has made almost all of his money in finance and is a hedge fund manager and runs a big company, obviously at .72, it feels a little bit after what we heard yesterday, like he's one of us. That's the sense that you probably get from a lot of Met fans. You can't help the fans from feeling that way. He didn't say he was going to be a total hands-on owner, but he did say he was going to take a step back a little bit. He would certainly be willing to take a listen, but he wants the baseball experts, guys like Sandy Alderson, and whoever the new baseball operations president will be, and whoever the new general manager will be. He wants those guys to go out there and bring the players in. He will sound off on it. He will make sure it's okay, and go on from there. That's exactly what you want. You had a lot of meddling with the Wilpons, especially Jeff Wilpon, who would meddle in a lot of things regarding baseball operations. That may not be the case anymore here with Steve Cohen. And even talked about wanting to go out there and win multiple championships. When asked about the World Series, again, as I mentioned, the 3 to 5 years, he also said, you got to get the first one, and then you want to get more, and that's what they want to shoot for. So, man, it's just a different feel around the baseball team right now. And you even saw it right away with someone like Marcus Stroman, who earlier today, to sign his 1 year, $18.9 million qualifying offer. Remember, this is a guy, Marcus Stroman, who has had a very bizarre stay here with the Mets over the last couple of years. Initially didn't want to be here with the Mets because he wanted to pitch for the Yankees. Ended up getting traded to the Mets anyway from the Blue Jays. Pitched okay 2019, and then this year talked a big game that he was going to be a part of this rotation. And, of course, with COVID-19, decided to opt out so he could preserve himself for free agency. Yet he comes back because, well, Steve Cohen even went on Twitter and said that he cannot wait to rejoin the Mets next year, I should say, and play for Steve Cohen. And even Cohen tweeted saying that he appreciated the shout-out. So this is, again, an owner who completely different than the Wilpons. You never would have seen the Wilpons tweet back some of their own players saying, we can't wait to see you come to the ballpark. Totally different atmosphere. Completely different. A couple other things as far as baseball business is concerned. You heard from Sandy Alderson saying, and he was even sounded like a different Sandy Alderson than what we had seen for 7.5 years with this franchise from 2010 to 2018. But he was very reserved. Again, played his cards close to the vest, and for the most part had to juggle with a lot of financial problems with the Wilpons. Now he doesn't have to worry about that. And you heard him talking about wanting to be an icon, having this Met franchise be an iconic franchise, wanting to be a big time player. Man, it's a totally different vibe, and you can feel the energy with him. And he even said, Alderson, saying the reason he came back was because of the passion and the energy of the new owner, and that's Steve Cohen. As far as Luis Rojas is concerned, the manager, sounds like he will be back. Of course, that was open to interpretation because the Mets are indeed looking for a new general manager. They are looking for a new president of baseball operations. And it sounds like it will be a power structure where you're going to have Alderson at the top, the president of baseball ops underneath him, and then the general manager underneath him, and you work your way up from there. It won't be some kind of scattered structure where the owner's jumping in and having input. He will only have input when he is asked. That's going to be much different than we have seen in the past with the New York Mets. So Rojas sounds like he'll be back for now as the team's on-field manager. If that should change, it will change. I mean, one thing that Cohen said is that he's not going to settle for mediocrity, and he doesn't take fools lightly. He said that straight up in his press conference. So they are going for it. They are going full gusto for it. And the question is, which free agents are they going to be able to bring in? We know catcher, we know starting pitcher, we know center field are some of the issues that the Mets had at the end of last season. A lot of people suspect that someone like a JT Realmuto, who had that article come out a couple weeks ago saying that he wasn't that interested in playing New York. So I don't know if that's going to happen there. Maybe be a James McCann from the White Sox. Maybe he'll be a guy to consider. George Springer, part of the Astros team, but he is a center fielder, a very good player. He's a free agent, and then a lot of people talking about Trevor Bauer. He is potentially the NL Cy Young Award winner. He had a 1.73 ERA this year. He could be on the Mets' radar as well. And can you imagine a rotation of a healthy Jacob deGrom, a healthy Noah Syndergaard, a healthy Marcus Stroman, a healthy Trevor Bauer, all those guys together? That would be very scary if that ever came to pass. And it could very well happen with the way this team wants to go out there and win, and not just win this year, as Cohen said, but win multiple years and have a long-term plan in place for the New York Mets. Now, some other news here I just want to bring up to you is very quickly. Keep in mind, there's another player out there available now, and that is DJ LeMahieu, who rejected his qualifying offer from the New York Yankees for $18.9 million. As he will be a free agent. Now, I think LeMahieu was probably going to stay with the Yankees. Guy had a tremendous 2 years, hit .336 in 2 years. But not surprised that he rejects the qualifying offer because he wants to go out there and get paid. He wants to get paid big money in free agency, and he will certainly test the market this offseason. So hope springs eternal for the New York Mets, folks. It's going to be exciting. A new era is officially begun as the offseason is about to kick off. And you know what, folks? Here's Christmas is coming, obviously. Holiday season is just around the corner. But for Met fans, Christmas doesn't begin until the end of February, beginning of March, when you can take all the wrapping off of these potential gifts that Steve Cohen could bring in to the New York Mets, and you can start to see how this thing is going to come together in 2021, starting in spring training. So let the fun begin, folks. Remember to follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/OpenMicProgram, at OpenMicNJ on Twitter, and remember to like and subscribe to the Sports Talk Nation. Remember, leave your comments down below. What do you think about Steve Cohen's press conference? How do you feel about it? Are you excited? Are you ready to rock and roll with this? We'll talk to you next time right here on the Sports Talk Nation.